few years ago, I detailed the risks in China. In fact, I was one of the first analysts in the world, maybe the very first, to warn about Alibaba. And those select few who were getting the research at that time, this is 10 years ago, who are still around today, I think it's safe to say they had a very good understanding of the risks, not only in Alibaba, but China. The first warning I issued, and the excerpt of the, and I don't cover Chinese securities per se, but of course I cover the Chinese market because the economy is large. It's part of the international coverage that we have, because of course, although international investing is garbage, of course international is relative, right? If you are in China, right, the U.S. is international to you. So I'm speaking of primarily for U.S. investors, right, and generally for advanced countries, right? For advanced countries. When I speak of international investing, I'm speaking of, generally speaking, developing, versus developing countries, third world countries, but really specifically American investors. Because why? Well, because the European region is of course advanced, but it's not really that great of an investment area, especially as a kind of a buy and hold, and especially this year in 2025 is certainly not going to do well. But of course, international investing comes with very high fees. Let's think about China. And so, of course, once again, I pinpointed many of the risks with Alibaba in 2015. Don't cover it, but I just wanted to mention that to my research subscribers as something to note going forward, and that was the fact that the Alibaba specifically, and of course many of the Chinese companies listed in the U.S. market, were going through basically shell companies where you really didn't own anything and you really didn't have any legal protections. Of course, I followed up with that 2017, and I followed up with it again in 2019, I believe. And then I came out around 2022, early 2022, when Mr. Munger, Charles Munger, was coming out telling everyone how Alibaba is a great investment. And yet all the idiots on ScamTube, all the fake gurus that don't know shit, that are scamming people, charging people for money, making money, blabbering, selling ads, posting affiliate links for which almost none of them provide a proper affiliate disclosure, which is breaking federal law. Can't wait till they get fucking nailed on that. But, and of course, people are telling me I'm wrong. He's Charlie Munger. Who are you? Yeah, well, I'm probably a little bit better than Charlie Munger. The guy was 99, wearing fucking diapers. Oh, he says he's wearing diapers. Yeah, because you're a dummy. When you're the big swinging dick, you know what's going on. Folks, I can tell you right now, I'm not perfect, but it's not a good move to bet against me. And that's something that people that know me and my research, they know. They've stated that. You don't want to bet against me. And a more important thing is that when you have people, by the way, when you have people out there who are going in the media and telling you about some investment, most likely they're trying to manipulate it. If you are a good investor, and what are you doing getting on the media and telling everybody about your investments? They're trying to pitch the fucking bandwagon. They want you to pump up their investments. You got it? That's what the media does. That's part of the media scam. That's how it works. Okay? I've talked about this for years. For instance, shifting the topic a little bit to hedge funds. No credible hedge fund manager wants you to know what he's investing in. That's fact. If you don't know that, you don't know anything. Okay? Anytime a hedge fund manager comes on TV and tells you about some great investment that they like, that they've bought, or some disaster that they're betting against, you better fucking believe they're clowns. They're just trying to get you to either pump up their investment, it's kind of a media pump and dump, or to dump it, to short it, right? So they can profit. No credible hedge fund manager comes out and discloses what they're investing in. They want it to be private. I'm not going to get into the reasoning for that, but this is a fact. Anybody who knows anything on the street will tell you that. Okay? So I say credible. Why? Well, because obviously if they're trying to manipulate their positions like that, they're not credible. They're not legit. They're fucking clowns. They're shysters. Bill Ackman's a great example, right? Great example. Okay? This is why there's a lot of fund managers out there you don't really hear or see anything about, and they do really well. You know why? They keep their fucking mouths shut and they focus on their business. Of course, there's a lot of them as well that engage in insider trading. But the people that are using the media are doing that as a way to get the dummies on the bandwagon. Same thing with Cathie Wood. She's completely manipulating people, and she's using the dipshits. And of course, at this point, she's paying for her appearances. She's paying money in one way, shape, or form, either directly or indirectly, to these media companies to get all this exposure, to pump up her stocks. I've talked about that before. So anyway, let me get back to the main topic, which I wasn't here to talk about that. The main topic is international investing and why China's a great example to point to the fact that international investing is a loser's game. Now, it doesn't mean you can't make money in international investments, because you can. You can make a lot of money, but you got to be sharp. You got to be a big swinging fucking dick, or be aligned with a big swinging fucking dick. Case in point, I recommended China securities 20 years ago. 20 years ago. For any of these idiots. Oh, you said that China's... folks, research means it's ongoing. Things change. They change all the time. The question is some event material enough to change the forecast? Or is it just hot air, right? China was the place to be 20 years ago in the investment markets, along with Brazil and several others, right? But that changed, you see, and I was all over that. I've been forecasting China accurately for 2 decades. China changed, specifically after the financial crisis. And, you know, they were managing things okay. And the fact is that, sure, China's kind of always been somewhat of a facade. It's a communist country. How can you invest in a communist country? Well, you figure, okay, they just entered the World Trade Organization in 2001. They're getting things ready. They're liberalizing their trade. They're opening things up. It's progressing. Maybe it's gonna turn out okay, and it did turn out pretty well for several years, right? But the problem is that once a certain threshold is reached, whereby they're not showing progress, and where, you know, everybody out there realizes, holy shit, there's a lot of risk. That's when the game changes. That's when you can no longer bet on a communist country like China opening up, becoming more democratic. And so for that reason, you know, the game has changed. And I talked about this a few years ago. Now, you could have played around in China for quite a while, and if you're good, you could have made a lot of money. You can still make some money trading it with news and this and that. It's a lot more risky now, though. But for several years after the financial crisis, it took quite a while for things to boil over. But, in 2016, China was very close to a financial crisis. There's no doubt about that. There were some turbulent periods, 2012, 2014, 16. But now, obviously, it's a major turning point and has been since the Wuhan virus. So think about it for a second. International investing. We don't have to just focus on China, the communist country, but let me just remind everyone. And this is why, if you're gonna invest in China, you invest in the 8 shares. Which, now the 8 shares are basically not much different than the A shares, right? Because China's taken over Hong Kong. You see, so the game is completely changed, and I don't see it reverting back anytime real soon. I'm not going to get into the specifics of my forecasts for China. I have a report that I released 2 years ago on that. But so I'm not going to really reveal a lot of that stuff. I know what's going on, and it should be obvious that anybody that invests in China is just a fucking idiot. And you have people, Alibaba, right? Once again, Charlie Munger is the genius, folks. This is why it's important to not worry about what people are saying. Well, because they say he's this and he's this. You got proof? Show me the fucking proof. People are also saying Jim Rogers is a legendary investor. Show me the fucking proof. Show me the proof. You got it? You look at the evidence in front of your fucking face. Most people are too stupid and or lazy to do that. Especially people on ScamTube. You see? There's every once in a while there's going to be a smart person, one out of maybe 200 or 300 who will get it. That's why you look at the track record. You look at what's going on. That's how you're going to assess something, okay? And, I'm not here to talk about me, but let's just face the facts. These legendary investors, none of them predicted the financial crisis, right? Anybody that knows about me knows that I predicted it with fucking stunning accuracy. Shocking accuracy. Unprecedented accuracy. Legendary accuracy. If you don't know that by now, then you don't know a whole lot as far as I'm concerned. Okay? Nobody in the world came close to the forecast that I made in the financial crisis. Nobody. Okay? But I'm banned. And you got idiots out there. Oh, I never heard of this. Well, if he's so great, how come I never heard of him? Hey, you dumbass. You don't know how the media works, do you? You're dumb. That's why your life is the way it is. Because you're a fucking dummy. Well, I go by consensus. I go by validation, by what people say online. Yeah, that's why you're losing in life. Because you're fucking stupid. Yeah. So, you look at China, and, you don't own anything. I've already gone through the details. I'm not going to go over it anymore in terms of the Chinese securities. I went in detail over the issues many years ago. And but it's just a perfect example proving that international investing is just inferior. Now, you can make money. Once again, you can make money over certain periods, but it's not a buy and hold, right? Think about it for a second. Let me give you an example. Let me show you here. The vast majority of people out there are going to need to buy and hold. Okay? They're not even going to be able to actually adjust for certain periods, like, say, the financial crisis back in 2008. They're just going to be able to buy, because they risk screwing everything up. So, 95% of investors out there need to be in an index buy and hold. So let's take a look at VOO, Vanguard S&P 500 ETF. Okay, and let's take a look at 20 years. Well, it doesn't go 20 years, the data. Okay, well, we'll take a look at, I guess, 10 years. So you can see it's up by, I guess, what, 150% or so. You can just do the math. I don't know. The point is that take a look at that. You know, considering the financial crisis, the scamdemic, so on and so forth, you know, it looks pretty good, right? And there's going to be some other issues in the future, no doubt about it. But now let's compare that to the Shanghai Composite. Take a look at that. Take a look at that. So, I mean, we won't even count this collapse here. Let's just go ahead and start it at, 2016. Take a look. Where'd it go? It went nowhere. It went fucking nowhere. See that? It went nowhere. You got it? It's what I said before. None of these fucking knuckleheads, none of these amateur fucking investors on YouTube know this. You better believe they're going to copy me. Okay? Emerging markets, emerging economies are rarely buy and hold. If you buy and hold them long term, you stand a high chance. I'm not saying you stand a high chance of not doing particularly well. Okay? And this is a perfect example. Perfect example. FXI, similar situation. Now we got data. So we got 20-year data on FXI. FXI is just the 50 largest cap H shares, Chinese companies listed in Hong Kong.